Hey everybody, I want to just give a shout out of gratitude, appreciation to all of the disaster responders that are responding to Hurricane Helene out on the eastern seaboard. Way to go. Thanks for being there, y'all. Hey, my name is Heather, and I'm a 20-year first responder turned holistic health nurse coach, and I'm here to support and inspire you to take better care of yourself. Also leading this campaign, Sabbaticals for First Responders. If you like this vibe, please follow for more. It seems like most everybody has heard of FEMA in terms of its representation in the federal government in disaster response, but not everybody knows about the National Disaster Medical System that's part of the Department of Health and Human Services. I am an intermittent federal disaster responder on the National Disaster Medical System program team, and although in the course of this TikTok, I am not representing the U.S. government, so these opinions are mine and mine alone. I do not represent them in this way, but I can share my experience. I am not currently deployed on this disaster, so this experience that I want to share is from previous disasters. For context, I have responded to public health emergencies. I've responded to fires, floods, and hurricanes. In 2017, Irma, Maria, and Harvey, for example, going to Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico multiple times. So FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, will be sending, or already has sent in, urban search and rescue folks, folks that can help small businesses, folks that can help individuals file claims, get tarps, get supplies, get funding to help start building repairs, etc. And that's different. They don't actually provide any medical response anymore for the most part, except for the medical trained people that are on the USAR, Urban Search and Rescue Team, of course. It's the National Disaster Medical System that comes in. They will pre-stage in the event of a hurricane, and then they come in immediately after. The National Disaster Medical System has many different sub-teams. There are DMATs, Disaster Medical Assistance Team. There's a Trauma Critical Care Team. There's a mortuary team, a veterinary team. There's incident management teams and logistics teams. I think I've covered them all, but if not, they're, of course, on the NDMS. They're on the NDMS website. These teams are geographically located all over the country, with DMAT teams being in most states, although some smaller states are combined with other geographically neighboring states to form teams. The composition of these teams has changed and evolved over the years. Every month, you're on call, usually 3 to 4 months out of the year. And if your team is on call, then they have to roster a ready to go in, pretty much moment's notice roster team of maybe 35, 45, and this again is varied. But on that team, you'll find medical providers ranging from trauma surgeons, ER physicians, family practice physicians, pediatricians, etc. Mid-levels, nurse practitioners and physician assistants, nurses, nurse practitioners, I already said, paramedics. Some teams have EMTs still, social workers. I don't think there's lab techs anymore. Usually a pharmacist or two, respiratory therapists, and then there's support infrastructure. So you've got logistics, administrative support officers, communication specialists, safety and security specialists, and then, of course, as you can imagine, a team, leadership team that helps organize and provide command and control. When the President of the United States declares a national disaster, then the teams on call are activated. And at that point, then you are paid a GS government service, depending upon your level of licensure, experience, training, etc. For me, I was a GS-11, or I'm a GS-11. The pay is a federal standard pay rate. It's definitely better than volunteering, but it's about a 50 to 75% pay cut for most people, depending upon where you live, although that's not necessarily true in the least competitive markets for nurses around the country. So you get paid, your travel gets paid. You are not paid portal to portal. Like I think USAR or FEMA might be paid portal to portal, meaning they leave their house and they're paid continuously on 24 hours, regardless of if they're sleeping or working. For the National Disaster Medical System, your entire travel time is paid, and generally we do 12-hour shifts. So 12 on, 12 off, 12 on, 12 off, 12 on, 12 off. So yeah. Usually we deploy for 2 weeks at a time, occasionally 3 if like to go to further away places like Puerto Rico or Hawaii, potentially, or Guam. Generally we respond only to the US, although occasionally we will go to our US territories and allied nations upon request. So what does that look like for Helene, for example? Again, this is not any operational information. I'm not currently deployed. This is just general information on how usually things work. If your team was on call, you would notify your employer. By the way, your employment is protected through USERA, Uniformed Services. I can't remember what it stands for, but it's essentially the same way that the reserves and National Guard members are protected. So you inform your employer, hey, I'm on call this month, and then boom, this hurricane happens. Your team commander gets a notice, informs you all, you inform your employers, travel is organized, you are given orders, just like military gets orders, and then you get yourself to the nearest airport. Your bags should be pretty much already packed for a 2-week deployment. You're expected to be self-sufficient for 3 days. So that means carrying usually some sort of a roller duffel that I can put as a duffel on my back, or I can roll. And then I have a 72-hour bag where I have food and maybe some type of emergency bivy sack or something to be able to get a reasonable night's rest. And believe me, I've slept on buses, I've slept on gym floors, I've slept on, inside tents on cots, whatever, whatever you got to do. If you're pre-staging, the government does a very good job of finding you a place that's reasonable, safe accommodations, so that there's not a threat to your life coming in there to try to be of service to others. And then our mission and what that profile looks like really depends on the particular disaster. I have set up mini ERs, emergency rooms, inside of high school gymnasiums. I've set up tent emergency rooms. I have, pretty much done everything in between. In Puerto Rico, we were setting up tents outside of hospitals because the hospitals had no power. Their generators had been running for a week or 2 straight, and there was mold mitigation that they needed to do and broken windows and all this stuff. So we're out in the parking lot essentially receiving ambulances just like we're in ER, and then whatever needs to be transferred, we would organize helicopters and get them to the bigger cities or higher levels of care, and then we would triage and handle whatever could be handled there. Working as a disaster responder has been among the most professionally satisfying experiences of my entire life. And also recognizing that whenever we leave our home base, whether it's ambulance service, helicopter service, EMS agency, hospital, etc., like we're leaving a gap that others are having to fill also. So once again, I just want to say I'm sending love and thoughtful energy to all those impacted by this emergency, this disaster. I'm also sending lots of love to all of the first responders and especially disaster responders that have left the relative security of their home to go be of service to others. So thanks for being there, y'all. And I hope for easeful recovery and good health to all.